When it's hard to reveal how much it takes to go through life just trying not to break. When they say you're the strong one in the pack, but wish sometimes you could be the one in the back. And be where you're at. When the voice inside your head's not kind, even though folks say you're a brilliant mind. When your smile's not bright as it used to be. When your light's dimmed from the insanity. You can be raw and you can be real with me. You can be as you are. Every bruise and scar. You don't have to play games with me. Just need you to feel safe to be who you are. You say it's complicated to move through life, feeling like there are so many sacrifices. I never judge you for telling your whole truth, 'cause my friend, I don't need a thing from you. I just want you to live your truth. You can be as you are. Every bruise and scar. You don't have to play games with me. Just want you to feel safe to be who you are. Yes, you can be as you are. Every bruise and scar. You don't have to play games with me. Just want you to feel safe to be who you are. Keep going. Keep going. When I start knowing, just keep going. When all your worries wake in the middle of the night, when you gotta get up with the early morning light, the last thing that you wanna do is face the day. When frumpy grumpy is what you feel, here's what I say. Keep going. Just keep going. When I start knowing, just keep going. There's not an easy way
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Meetup with Marc, live here on the Intuitive Prospector page. Yes, keep going, keep moving forward. There's a lot going on in our world, our journey, our spiritual pathway. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. I try to be here on Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So check your local time zone, depending on where you're at in the world, because we do have an international audience. I want to say thank you to my team, my moderators that keep the social media platforms positive. That's what I use social media for today, because there's just a lot of junk out in the world. If you like those songs, the first one, keep going. Her name is Ruby Amanafu. And the other one is All That I Am. Wait, no. Who Are You? Actually, both songs were by Ruby today. Who Are You by Ruby Amanafu was the first song, and Keep Going by Ruby Amanafu. I really love her voice, I guess. I didn't realize it was the same artist. But I always give a shout out to the artists that provide their music for my shows, my podcast. Everything that I do is always trademark, copyright, royalty-free music. So I always highlight them. So if you like her voice, you like the song, go check her out. Again, her name is Ruby Amanafu. If you want to learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, what I'm prospecting about, you can go right here to marclainhart.com, and I would love to help you search for the diamond within and the many hidden gems that are all around us. So again, thank you to my team. If you're on this morning, thanks for keeping the comments positive. You're always invited for your opinions. We always say your opinions are valued here, your perspectives are valued, but your facts are not. So there's only one ever set of facts in the journey of life, and we want to make sure that we keep to a positive, open format for encouragement, motivation, thinking outside the box. And just to come on here on Friday, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, grab a protein shake. I got them both today. And let's get metaphysical. Let's talk about some different concepts that that's out there, right? I'm not overly skilled. I'm just passionately curious about my journey, about life, about if you've ever asked the big question, what happens after life after death, right? These are not something that I've always been curious, but I really came into the curiosity really took off when I had 2 decades ago. I had a lot of life situations, traumas and tragedies that really kind of changed how I looked at life, how I looked at my own life, how I watched, family members move on to, we call death and dying. Some may call it the afterlife. Some may call it heaven. Some may call it nothing at all, right? There's all sorts of different beliefs. For personally, my experience as a professional, accredited and certified and validated psychic medium, I can tell you that from my perspective and my experiences and my readings, that there is something to the other side of this, that there's not just life, right? That there is more than meets the eye. Or as I'm here in Seattle, so Chief Seattle would always say that death is not the end. It's just a change in our form of who we are, our love, our mannerisms, our consciousness. And one of the things I want to talk about today is something that has been around for a while. I learned more about this from my studies and education, and I've had a lot of different studies in my 50+ years on the planet. Education-wise, I've got an undergrad in business management communications. I've got a graduate degree in sports medicine and human performance. I've actually studied at Stanford University, and along those educational routes, I've also studied from different types of metaphysical courses, from the Berkeley Psychic Institute in California, the Omega Institute in upstate New York, the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, England. So along those journeys of different educational formats, which I always recommend to anybody, higher education, whether it doesn't even have to be college, it could be a vocational trade, it could be something that you're interested in spirituality or theology or science or what have you. Come on in. This is the right place for you to journey on Fridays. And one of the things that I came across was this gentleman by the name of Edgar Cayce. Some of you may have heard of Edgar Cayce. I learned about him probably 2 decades ago. And Edgar Cayce, he's known as the sleep prophet. So you can look him up. His last name is spelled Cayces, Edgar Cayce, or Cayce, not S. That's Edgar Cayce's. Edgar Cayce, and he was known as the sleep prophet. And his his readings were done in a sleep state, which is fascinating to me. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But one of the things that he talked about was moving towards this transition to a more enlightened state of being. And I look at our world and the chaos of where our world is, but I see a lot of things that are changing within our species as far as how we treat other people. And when I was growing up in the 70s, if you were different, you were treated poorly. And I know that still takes place today. I'm not naive to that, but we're accepting of people that are on different spectrums, people that see the world differently. And I believe that what Edgar Cayce was talking about back then when he was doing his readings is this enlightened state of being, because some of the people that are out there making changes in the world, they just don't think or see the world the same way that I do. And that's fine. But it leads me to believe that we're on a evolution of consciousness. And I always said, if you follow my journey, you can go back right here at marclainhart.com and go back to my past articles, my past podcasts, my forecasting. I always said that this decade that we're in, the roaring 20s, would be known as the age of transformation and ascension. Now, through that decade, we're going to have continued wars and violence and politics and divide. But through this decade, history will look back and say, this is the decade where things really started to open up for everywhere from science to artificial intelligence, which is now being referred to as superior intelligence, which is fascinating to me, to robotics, to advanced algorithms and coding, to would be another example of transformation and ascension. Let's see here, automation, how we are making things and how we're discovering things. And it's an interesting journey. But what he talked about was, Edgar Cayce, was this fifth root race of consciousness. So he called it the fifth root. And what it is it's a the fifth root race, which is implications of spiritual development, psychic development, the transition from, some would call it the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension. But what he talked about, and I'm just going to read a little bit about it, again, known as a sleeping prophet, which is fascinating to me because we're in one of three states at any given time in the human journey. We're either in the awakened state, which you and I are connecting to right now. You're watching me here on my Intuitive Prospector Facebook page. We're awake, right? The mind is actually very dormant right now. It's not firing on many levels. And then eventually, wherever you're out in the world, you're going to go to sleep. Lay your head down, close your eyes, and the brain starts to fire. So we go into the sleep state of our being, right? And then the third state is the dreamscape, where actually you move past the brain to where the brain is firing on many different levels, and you've gone into a completely different state of being, of consciousness, if you will. So those are the three states of human beings, of consciousness, right? Awake, asleep, and dream. And so he would go into this sleep format to download his messages, and he talked about these viewpoints, these forecasts that he would see of this, what he would call the fifth root. So I'm just going to describe it to you, a little bit of prospecting for myself, because I'd never heard about this. I've heard of the indigo children. I've heard of different concepts of evolution. I even think, based on what I went through with my traumas and tragedies and severe loss, my own near-death experience, I think that changed my brain. I think that rewired my brain, which we call neuroplasticity, to be able to do what I do today. Because trust me, I didn't sign up years ago to say, hey, I want to be a psychic. I want to be a medium. That's not at all where I thought my life would take me. But sometimes the events in our life change us and transform us, just like this decade is going to change a lot of people. And, it doesn't have to be a scary thing, y'all. I'm not one of those psychics that do the doom and gloom and promote on fear, because for me, fear is false evidence appearing real. And I do see during this decade of great struggle and divide and more wars, and maybe one war will end, but we know in history that we've only had, I think the study we did in group was, we looked back 2,500 years, maybe 2,500 years, we've only had 33 years of total peace without some sort of war. So I do hope that the war in Gaza, in Israel and Hamas, and I don't know enough to speak about it, so I try not to have an opinion about things I don't know enough about. But I just know that war, nobody wins in war. But we are a species that has a history filled with war. The only thing, that war brings is widows and loss, and children without parents. So I'm not a fan of war. I'm not a fan of violence. And for me, from a metaphysical standpoint, violence is a very low vibration and a very low way of being. And I believe that we are going to ascend through our science, through our technology, through many different advancements. And I also see this great coming together. For those of you that have followed my work, I've seen this tipping point where people will globally come together, whether it's an external event, a nature event, super volcano, for example. The planet is 70% of water, so the globe could change at any time on any given moment. That's just nature. Nature is she's not she can be pretty brutal. I know Mother Nature firsthand from my days in the Coast Guard. Now, as I'm sitting here recovering from my 5th surgery since last April for my back, but at the same time, you respect nature. You realize that you're a part of nature, and it's in our nature to have that war. But at the same time, I also see. I always say we have 3 eyes in life: 2 to look, 1 to see. I see that there's going to be a great coming together, and that could also be that we learn that we're not alone in this big universe of ours. It doesn't have to be little green men from outer space. It could be to learn that there's been an advanced species living with us on Earth for the entire time, down deep in the oceans. Like I said, 70% of the water, or 70% of the planet is covered in water. We've only discovered, depending on what peer review you look at, we've only discovered 7 to 15% of the Earth's oceans. There's a lot of deep down in the Earth that we just have never explored. Some people have theorized maybe the asteroid that hit 65 million years ago that wiped out the dinosaurs was a big spacecraft, and it was us, right? Or the dinosaurs that were living here went down into the Earth and have evolved underground since then. A lot of different theories and hypotheses. I don't know, but it's fun to talk about, right? It's fun to prospect and have those creative ideas. But I do see a great coming together for our species that will be in a global event. Not necessarily during the Roaring 20s. I think we'll learn that we're not alone in the universe during our Roaring 20s. But the future for me looks hopeful, looks bright. And of course, if you know history and just know the history of our species, you know that we're always going to have the political divide, the politics, the violence, the war. Einstein said it best: the 3 things that run this planet: fear, greed, and ignorance, right? And so if you realize that and you tune out from that reality, your journey becomes a lot more peaceful and a lot more exciting. And that's what I try to teach. Again, finding the diamond within and looking and exploring for all the many hidden gems that are all around us. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not here. And there's lots of examples that we can use. But this is where I think we're starting to witness Edgar Cayce's this 5th root race of evolution. His teachings are not strictly aligned with theophysical doctrines, if you will, but he discussed humanity's spiritual evolution and the concept of root races in his reading. So if you want to learn more about that, again, you have the internet. You have all of the information you've ever wanted at your fingertips, y'all. I remember growing up having to go to the library or Encyclopedia Brown to research all this. Now I can just sit down in my studio and research this and go prospecting for this. So if you want to learn more, but what the definition of it is Edgar Cayce described the 5th root race as the current stage of human evolution, primarily focused on spiritual awakening and development of the individual soul. Okay. The origin of Edgar Cayce, the 5th root, began in the region of what we would call Atlantis, and evolved as humanity transitioned from what the 4th root race is, also known as the Atlanteans, to who we are today. The characteristics of it is the 5th root race is marked by diversity and the blending of various cultures and ethnicities, which Cayce suggested was necessary, which I believe I agree with that. You have to have various cultures and several ethnicities, say that 3 times fast, in order for us to make a spiritual growth evolution through unity by looking different, right? If we all look the same, then we get into that group think. And the spiritual development that he talked about was, Cayce emphasized that the race is characterized by the potential for spiritual enlightenment and psychic abilities. Now, the word psychic, I point here because this is the pineal gland. The pineal gland is what regulates our melatonin in our brain. It's also that helps us to sleep. Again, those 3 stages of being: awakened, asleep, and dreaming. So the pineal gland, which is very ancient, looks like a pine cone. I've seen it in different cultures all around the world, sits in between what we call our temples, which is fascinating to me because, again, Einstein always said that this thing in our head, this 3.5 pound brain of ours, is one of the most complex, curious organisms in the entire universe. And so when you start to rewire, when you start to rethink, when you start to look at things differently, Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this all the time. If you know who he is, I started listening to him 30 plus years ago, and he always said, if you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at start to change. And there is truth to that. I have witnessed it myself, even just with this last 18 months of going through 5 major surgeries to transform my body, from a previous life. But the way that I feel now is completely different, and the way I see things is completely different. And not from a fear-based factor or fear-based energy. More like, oh, that's very interesting. That's curious. I'm going to prospect to see if I can understand the concept, or try to educate myself versus different opinions, to be like, oh, okay. But the psychic ability, the word psychic, when I started this journey, I was in my mind, when I started to come out of the spiritual closet, if you will, the word psychic I was invoking in my mind, that at that time it would have been a lady by the name of Psychic Wanda, and you could actually literally call a 1-800 number on your phone. And I was like, that's not what I want to be. That's not where my journey is, to help and be in service, to the spirit world and to those that seek me out. But I'm not a fortune teller, right? I'm not in it for this entertainment. I'm not here to tell you about when you're going to die the next day, or if you're going to win the money, the lottery, because the spirit world doesn't care about that. And the most important about your journey is it happens one day at a time, the present moment. But the word psychic itself, if you break the word down in Greek, means psychosis, which means of the soul. So it becomes the journey of my own soul to understand what is going on with my own spiritual development. And this is what Edgar Cayce was talking about. And so people that awaken to their spiritual heritage, if you will, can go through some pretty transformative and pretty tough times, because I always remind my listeners, my clients, and my students that the spiritual awakening is not usually filled with a lot of rainbows and cupcakes and kitty cats and kumbayas. It is actually quite transformative, and it can take you to some pretty deep, dark places. But again, those deep, dark places help you release the diamond within, because diamonds are created under what? Extreme pressures, and they're usually in the dark, and then they're revealed into the light, and they sparkle. So they always say shine bright like a diamond. Well, diamonds don't shine, they reflect, right? So in your journey of your spiritual development, just know if you're having a tough time, keep going. Align with people that help you see the world in a different, more positive way, because again, misery loves company, and social media, the news cycles are really good at doing that. And align with people that see a more of a positive outcome in the journey of life, like I do, but also develop through your trials and tribulations that I guarantee you that you will have. And this is what Edgar Cayce was talking about in this 5th root that we're moving into. The challenges, he noted that the 5th root faces challenges related to materialism. Think about that. Ethical dilemmas. Think about that. And the need for greater compassion, kindness, and caring among understanding people. And I think that we've made a step forward in understanding people and accepting people and being aware of people's challenges and differences. But at the same time, in our current culture, we've also taken a step back because people fear that. They don't want, there are people that want to have that group think and be in the herd and just follow whatever they're told, right? The emperor's new clothes. Just remember, when you're following the herd, all you're looking at is assholes in front of you. Just remember that. That's something that I always remember. Follow your own journey. Align with people that allow you to think outside the box, that push you, to motivate you, to encourage you. And again, you're going to have challenges, but that's life, right? Life is the acronym. Learn it from experience. That's why we're here, is to learn, to grow, to transform, and become a better version of ourselves. So just want to give some shout out to all of you. Looks like we got some people tuning in. So hi, Emily. Hi, April. Good to see you. Hi, Christy. Hi, let's see. Hi, Mark. Sorry. Cannot send stars because my payment method is coming up in my child's email for some reason. No worries. Hi, Bruce Romeo. Diana, hello to you. Thanks for the stars. Appreciate that. Just helps me buy coffee and keeps me rolling. You're from Montana. Hi, Diana. Love Montana. My wife's from Missoula, Montana. Actually, she'll be going there this week. So if you're new to the show, We're here on Fridays. We start broadcasting live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Technology, given Wi-Fi signal, all that. I just had my router redone yesterday. I was having problems with my router since I came back from the beautiful country of Portugal, but that should be working now, so there shouldn't be any issues. We're going to do a meditation here in a little bit too. But if you're new to the show, if you're catching this, leave a comment. Let me know where you're from. Get into the comments and hit the newsletter if you want to get in my newsletter, Soul Adventures. I'm going to be doing a lot more now that I'm on the mend. I'm still, you can't see, but I'm sitting on a big ice pack right now because I had my 5th surgery, which was to repair a fully herniated disc, and it had been herniated for so long that part of the disc actually calcified. So I had that done on Monday. I'm doing much better. This should be my last surgery, hopefully. And again, it's from a prior life living, U.S. Coast Guard firefighter, EMT, and just that catching up with me. But hopefully I can now get back into being more present and doing more workshops, including the Experience Etheric. I've got my Conscious Wellness Expo next weekend in Kent Commons here in Kent, Washington. If you're in the area, please stop by. It's a free event with over 150 vendors, all sorts of cool swag, metaphysics, crystals, readings, healings, auric pictures. I mean, there's just everything under this one roof. And I've been doing it for several years now. I do it in the spring and then in the fall. It's my one in-person event. But hopefully now that I'm repaired, I can start doing more of these events and traveling more around the Pacific Northwest or other states, or doing services in other states. And I'll be speaking on the spirit of language on that Sunday, the 19th at 2 p.m. In the main lecture hall. And I'll also be doing a demonstration of mediumship. So I'm hoping that this is my last surgery. Again, 5 surgeries since last April is a lot of trauma to go through. But again, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And this is what I'm talking about, the transformation. And I believe a part of my transformation and what Edgar Cayce's talking about is in alignment with my part of my spiritual growth and my development and my own evolution. But as far as what he talked about, Edgar Cayce coming back to the 5th root, he encouraged individuals like yourself to seek spiritual development and to be of service to others. That's what the spiritual awakening is about. I see a lot of people out there that are in it for the vanity, the entertainment, the being famous, how many likes you can get. That's fine. That's your journey. That's not why I do this. I didn't get into this years ago because I wanted to. I got into it because I watched my brothers and my father-in-law move into the spirit world, and I didn't understand what was happening. Then I had my own near-death experience. Then I've had a few out-of-body experiences. Now I've worked with plant medicines at a very deep level. So I have a very deep understanding of what is seen and what is unseen, and that death is not the end. Death is just another part of our transformation. Now, I know that not everybody's going to believe that. You have to find your own journey with that. But as far as what Edgar Cayce was teaching on, he encouraged people to find that spiritual development, to be in service to others. And this would contribute to the overall evolution of the 5th root race that he talked about and wrote about and did his readings about. So again, if you're not familiar with the 5th root race, check that out. Do a little prospecting for your own spiritual goal. But what I love about his teachings, it's very aligned. So I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. There's a big difference between the two, and I'll have you do your own research on what the differences are. The religious aspect is looking for God outside yourself. Spiritual aspect is knowing that there's a God within. I'm not saying I'm a God, but I know that I can connect to the unity and the divinity of, whether you call it God, you call it grandmother, you call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. But it's about finding the journey within instead of looking for something out here, because you're not going to find it out here. The only way out is through. So, and I've learned that to be true. But what I love about being a spiritualist as well, as an accredited, fully certified spiritualist, is the unity and the brotherhood. Because one of our principles is called the brotherhood of man, and that includes women too. It's an older doctrine, but it is the brotherhood. And Edgar Cayce on his 5th root talked about the unity and the brotherhood, and he stressed the importance of unity. I always talk about community, right? Take the word community, half of it is that word is unity, right? The word earth, why do we call it earth? You ever question why we call what we call? I have for many, many years. Why do we sleep, right? But if you break down the word earth, the first 3 letters is ear, E-A-R, to listen, right? So I think there's importance in unity, to listen, to have different perspectives. but to have that brotherhood. We may not see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we all sit at the table of life, and at the end of the day, we're all going to the same location, which is we call death, unless you have another get out of jail free card that I don't know about. But what he talked about was the collective consciousness as an essential element of the advancement of the fifth root race. And I believe and I see that's where we're going. Now, again, some people call me batshit crazy. Other people call me for consulting and advice. So I've learned that journey. But what's going to happen if you go down this path and you start to research and you start to open up these doors of curiosity and prospecting, you're going to start to see an alignment. You're going to start to see when you set in intentions, energy follows your intentions. And all of a sudden, you're going to start, maybe interested in classes or sitting in a development group or coming to my development group. And what'll happen is you'll start to evolve, right? And one of the things that happens with that is your psychic abilities. And again, the word psychic is not predicting somebody else's future. The word psychic means of the soul in your journey. Now, along the way, I've gotten very educated and mentored very much so over the last 20 years to be able to help people in their guidance. But at the end of the day, it's free will and choice. I can give you the pathway, but you have to choose that pathway, right? I can lead a human in knowledge, but I can't make you think, right? And so your psychic abilities may start to evolve and open up. And that may be a difficult place, like it was for me many years ago, because I had no idea what was going on with my abilities once I was going through all this grief and loss and murder trials and funerals, and then my own near-death experience in a river accident. And so he believed that many individuals in the fifth root race will develop heightened psychic abilities, which will aid in healing and spiritual understanding. And one of the things I've learned, y'all, in this journey, and again, we can always agree to disagree, but we can always be respectful and civil of one another's opinions and perspectives. I believe that some of the mental health that we have out there have been mistaken for spiritual abilities. That's just my own personal opinion. I believe that some people that are on the spectrum, which I love, one of my favorite shows is Love on the Spectrum, is our ability to understand that they are seeing a different frequency, a higher frequency, and that does not make them less. That, in my opinion, that makes them more. Just like I believe women are more because women bring forth life, and my connection to plant medicines has taught me that, right? So your psychic abilities may open up to an ability that you don't understand or you're very uncomfortable with. That's where you need community. That's where you need to get a mentor. That's where you need to get into a development group. We just honored one of my members that has been in my development group, or we're now called the Spiritual Growth Collective, but it is spiritual development. She's been with me for 10 years, and we just honored her as an elder in our community. And because I think elders are important in holding that ability to grow in safe spaces, in private spaces where we can, ask questions and not be ridiculed or labeled or, be told by society. Because it's funny how society says, oh, you should do it this way. And then you start to do it. Oh, no, not like that. Right. So, find yourself in a community that will support you and lift you, because a rising tide should lift all boats, not just certain ones. And you see that in today's society. But he believed in the fifth root that people will start to become more and more aware and psychic and spiritual development. And we see that across the board, not just psychic and doing predictions, but people with their healing work, sound vibration, some of our technology, the medicine that's been done on me, and how people have come up with these new medical techniques using robotics. This is part of our evolution too, using the higher part of the mind. So he also believed in reincarnation and karma. You may not believe in that. That's okay. I know in our journeys and our studies, we've looked at the top 10 religions from around the world, from the most popular to the least popular. And there's over 5,000 different religions around the world, just so you know. But we've studied the top 10, and all top 10 make reference to karma and reincarnation in their content and in their scriptures. Including Christianity, which I was raised in Catholicism. I don't practice Catholicism, but I do know scripture from my days of being raised in Catholicism. And there's many references to reincarnation and the concept of karma. What you give out comes back. So his teachings included concepts of reincarnation and karma, emphasizing the experiences of individuals in this race are opportunities for learning and growth. So again, learning and growth, not vengeance and revenge and a lot of stuff that we see in, society. That's not what karma is about. Karma is very patient too. So just mind your P's and Q's. His insight on the fifth root race highlighted a journey towards, like I said, greater spiritual awareness and unity among humanity. I'm on board. If you're on board with that, then you found the right place. His focus on personal development, collective growth, and the evolution of consciousness reflected his broader metaphysical teachings, and something that I align to as well with my own metaphysical teachings. And so if that makes sense to you and you want to learn more, again, the fifth root is something that's taking place, I believe, right now. I believe it started maybe during the 70s when I was born, maybe a little bit even before then. But I believe that we are moving into an age of transformation, ascension, evolution, and we should be evolving, right? I wouldn't want to have, I'd love to have my old body as an 18-year-old, but I wouldn't want to have my mind as an 18-year-old, right? So any questions or thoughts on that? Go ahead and post. Hey, Craig. Hey, Salvador. Figured out the stars. Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead and leave a comment in. If you catch the replay, you can always leave a comment for a later date. I'll catch that, or my team will catch that at a later date. We will not be on the air this next Wednesday. Today is what is today? I lost track of my dates because I had surgery on Monday. So today is the 10th. Okay. So I had to look at the calendar because, when you're retired, you kind of lose track of time and days. And again, time is a great illusion. So we're going to move into a meditation to help you with your journey. If you want to post some questions in the comments section, either here on the live feed or later, if you catch us over on my YouTube channel, you can always post on my YouTube channel comments or leave a comment, and either myself or my team will try to get back to you if something comes up along the way and you're not catching this live, because we're live right now, but a lot of my shows go over to my YouTube channel later at a later time. So, but we're going to move into a meditation, and if you need some healing, if you're thinking of somebody else, if you want to pray for our world, if you want to pray for our leaders, if you want to pray for your family, your friends, your fur babies, your colleagues, yourself, your health is your wealth, then please go ahead and put some comments who your intention is for. And one of the things before we go into our meditation, I'm just going to keep as that open-mindedness that what I come on Fridays to talk about and teach about. I also, as a spiritualist, I come from a very big approach to science, right? That analytical left brain thinking, logic, reasoning, the scientific method. And science, or what we call empirical science, it focuses on the understanding the present and the past through verifiable evidence and experiments, while a lot of what I'm talking about right now is what we would call speculative science, because it explores future possibilities or hypothetical scenarios, often without immediate empirical evidence. And so I always like to say, I love Gene Roddenberry, who wrote Star Trek in the late 50s, early 60s. If you know the television show, the main, multi-billion-billion-dollar industry called Star Trek, he actually would talk about what he would write about as a seer would be science fiction, and a lot of what he's written about has become science fact. So I like to approach my metaphysical journeys with spirituality and science, both empirical science and speculative science, bridging the gap. Because right now, if we were to just break down what we've actually proven in the scientific method with mathematics, it's only about 4%, y'all, which means that's 96% we have not even figured out or even asked the right questions of what that 96% is. So there's just a lot out there that we don't know. And again, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be nefarious. It doesn't have to be evil. It can be just what is, right? There's somebody that I love and have followed for years, and you may know Alan Watts. And Alan Watts said this, quote, "The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves." End quote. That's from the great Alan Watts, which I followed and studied for years. So maybe just be a human being today and not worry about all the stuff that's out there. And we'll move into that meditation. I got a waterfall meditation for you. I may take a few live readings depending on time, but just I wanted you to know my approach with metaphysics is also branches of spirituality and scientific, both speculative and empirical science as well. And while speculative science invents new possibilities of research and practice, science relies on strict adherence to the scientific method and evidence to establish facts, right? So again, in this society, you're entitled to your opinion, but there's only one set of facts, and you're entitled everybody's entitled to those one set of facts. But what we're seeing is people creating alternative facts, right? Speculation can be a valid part of the scientific process as well that I've learned in my journey, particularly in hypothesis forming stages, but it must also be constrained by pragmatic epistemic standards. And that's what I really try to approach in my work, my writings, my podcasts. But just know that technology, AI, superior intelligence, artificial intelligence, my concept is we didn't create it. We just developed the tools that allowed us to access it because it's been there for the entire time. And I think that's going to open up some doors to our consciousness and evolution, and also give rise to what Edgar Cayce talked in this fifth root journey of the human experience. So if you want to leave some remarks in the comment section, or you need some healing, please put yourself in the healing room. We're going to move into the healing room right now. Again, I've got a nice little meditation for you. I'll get that queued up. We're going to go out to some waterfalls because, again, water is the essence of all life, right? You breathe water for 9 months. Again, evolution. Talk about being in the womb, breathing liquid for 9 months, and then coming out and breathing air. And then when this incarnate finishes, you're gonna stop breathing air and you're gonna move into energy, right? So there's always stages of evolution, even from birth, life, death, live again. So let me get that queued up for us. Again, if you want to post anything, or you want to share the video out or subscribe, all the features are there, marclainhart.com. It's been a pleasure talking with you today, and I'll get us queued up for a nice healing meditation. Again, you can post in the comments yourself, anybody else that you're thinking about. And again, just know that all of my visuals and all of my music are always copyright trademark free. And this is called a nature meditation. So I hope that you enjoy it, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that brief yet relaxing therapeutic meditation with waterfalls. Again, you can always put your comments in the comment section during the live or during the encore show if you catch this later on. I wanted to say thank you for hanging out with me today, doing a little bit of metaphysical prospecting, talking about the diamond within and the many hidden gems that are all around us. I forgot to mention, I think I started talking about the date and then I got sidetracked. So we will not be on the air next Wednesday for Inspired Living. We will be the following, which will be the 22nd. We have amazing guests scheduled out now all the way through January. So that if you're not familiar, you can go to right here, marclainhart.com. You can also find Inspired Living wherever you listen to your podcasting platforms. We stream through pretty much all major podcasting platforms now. Just look for Inspired Living. Picture of me. We're updating some of the content for the 2026 season because we're going to be moving into Om Times television as well. So we're going to be interviewing our guests via television, and then it will podcast the normal, the same way that it normally does or has the last 10 seasons. But if you have not checked out the episodes, there's lots of many different topics, lots of amazing guests. We're rated both as a best inspirational and best spiritual podcast to listen to and follow because of the dialogue and the content and the guests that we have on to talk about all the different things, everything from professional sports to medicine to psychic to mediumship to healing to, oh my gosh, there's just so much in between. I love doing it, but it's called Inspired Living. I hope you'll check us out. You can also find us through Audible. I believe we're streaming through Audible now. And you can also say, Alexa, open up Inspired Living podcast. And that will play the last episode that we did 2 weeks ago. We had to cancel this last Wednesday because our guest, it fell through. There was a scheduling conflict. And so we just ran an encore show. But we'll be back on the following Wednesdays. That's Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, check your local time zone. We run the live show at that time on Wednesdays, and then there's an encore show that will play, and then it will upload to the podcast platforms, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, Deezer, Podbean, usually within 48 hours of that live broadcast. With that, I think we've reached the end. We're about right on time for the end of the show. For my followers, if you are a subscriber, a Patreon prospector, and or a Diamonds Hub subscriber, this is the opportunity I give you. If you need to ask me a question live, you can come to the Zoom room. You can ask a question live, but you have to be a paid subscriber to qualify for that. If you're a free subscriber, then that doesn't count. But I do want to say thank you to my subscribers. And remember, the first Friday of every month as a subscriber, you'll know because you're on the closed page on both on Patreon and the Diamonds Hub here on Facebook. There's links to the Zoom room first Friday of every month, both at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to reach both the international group in the mornings and domestic here in the afternoon. But it's a great way to use your subscription to get monthly guidance once a month to sit and have a conversation with me, chat, heal, meditate, sound vibration. I've got a new flute coming in. I've got my kalimba that we can work with, lots of different, singing bowls, mediumship, psychic guidance, consulting. So make sure to jump on that. Again, you can get right here at marclainhart.com or somewhere in the comment section. There should be a subscribe if you want to become a subscriber through the Diamonds Hub or the Patreon Prospectors, and get on my newsletter. So that's going to be the best way to find out what's coming up with me. Now that I am healed, well, almost healed. I'm still going to be sore for a couple of weeks with this last surgery on my mid back, but this ice pack is definitely helping. So if you have any questions, I'll just give a few minutes for my subscribers. Again, paid subscribers. If you want to ask a question, if you're on, jump into the comment section and give me a holler, give me a question, what you need, what you're looking for. And if nobody's on, then we will call it a day. We'll call it a weekend. Move into my favorite part of the year, which is fall. And, like I said, just if you're interested in searching more about what Edgar Cayce was teaching about, then I would go look at it, because maybe you are part of that fifth root generation that he was talking about, right? Something that I didn't really think about until, I really started coming across. But again, this what he called the fifth root race of evolution in consciousness. So Okay, so I don't see any comments coming in. Thank you to my team for keeping the comments positive, uplifting. We don't get a lot of spam, which is great. They filtered that out. That in the past we get people coming in saying, "Hey, get a better reading or more accurate reading here." It's like, don't come on the page and do that, because you're going to get, one, you're going to get blocked off the community, and two, you're going to get reported and not welcome back. So the best advice to do that is to not do that, and come in and have fun, of course. Be a good human being and participate and offer your perspectives, of course, but don't come in trying to, but that's social media, right? That's the world of social media. That's the shit of social media. So not a big fan of social media, but it is a tool, and it can be used in good ways for encouragement, motivation, positivity, outside the box. All right, so I'll give it one more minute. We'll quit here at the top of the hour. If you have a question, go ahead and ask. I've got cards off camera here. Well, you can see the cards here. There's many different tools I can use: dowsing rods, crystal, cards, book, my own intuition. So, just like a carpenter has tools, a plumber has tools, an electrician has tools, a surgeon has tools. I, as the intuitive prospector, also have many tools that we can prospect to get the results that you're prospecting for, both internally and externally. So, all right. Cue up the music. Well, let's see what's a fun song to take us out with. Let's go to sound collection. What kind of music we want to close out with? How about something upbeat? How about A Better Place? I love this song, Better Place by Peter McConnell. McConnell, yeah. I use this song all the time because I do believe that together, we can move forward to a better place. April, since you're new to the show, I know you're not one of my subscribers yet, but yes, what kind of card would you like, my dear? I've got 14 decks, so you pick a number 1 through 14. I'll pick that deck, and if anybody else, I'll stay on just one more minute before I shut down. Tell me what deck you want, 1 through 14. I'll pick that deck, and then we'll shuffle, and you're going to type in the word stop, and we'll talk about that card. So, April, what deck would you want, 1 through 14? You pick. Yeah, free will and choice. I love it because you get the answers you're looking for. You get the synergy and the synchronicities, which Einstein always said synchronicities and coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous, which I love that. Number 3, you got it. So you picked my atomic deck this morning. This is the atomic deck. This is cool. I love this deck because when I do it, they fit together like a honeycomb. So what I want you to do, April, is just take a nice deep breath since you're joining us. I think the first time. I know you've caught past shows, but go ahead and take a deep breath. When you hear the word stop in your mind, type it on the keyboard, and I'll just be shuffling the cards. And when I see that stop come up, that's the card I'll choose based on your intentions, based on your picking that. So type in stop when you hear it in your mind. Trust your intuition, the internal voice of our journey. I'm just shuffling along. Give you about 10 seconds to do that. For anybody else, don't want to take too much time, because sometimes we can get kind of busy. But go ahead and type in stop, April. There could be a delay sometimes with social media too, which is that happens. Did have a cool supermoon. Anybody catch that supermoon? That was pretty. I scheduled my surgery on the supermoon intentionally, by the way. All right, April, waiting on you. Stop. There we go. Thank you, my friend. All right, here's your card. Just so you know, I pulled it based on. And again, it's when I see the word stop come up, and a lot of times there's some truth to it. There's some relevance to that. Ah, my friend, gratitude. This is the gratitude card. This is all about the root chakra going down, the color of red, which is about confidence, the color associated with just your journey and just having that grateful attitude. There's always, even when we're in troubled times, there's always an ability to have an attitude for gratitude, finding something that you're thankful for, especially if your mind is taking you to a negative, dark place. You can flip script and say, you know what are you thankful for? Thankful that you have clean drinking water, you had a shower this morning, a roof over your head, you know where your next meal's coming from, et cetera, et cetera. So April, for you, move into that gratitude energy today, right now, this weekend. And a lot of times when you move into gratitude, you'll see that your mind shift changes, and the monkeys that run around in our mind also change. And I find that attitude for gratitude, because many times trust me, with 5 surgeries since April, there's a lot of times where I'm playing the woe is me, the victim card. I'm like, no, wait a minute. I can have gratitude for the ability just to have modern medicine to walk again, to fix my, broken back. So the journey in the spirit world is telling you, my friend, to move into gratitude for today, for tomorrow, this weekend. And I hope that you'll take that advice based on what you chose, based on deck 3, which is the atomic deck, and based on the card that you said stop, which is gratitude. Does that make sense, April? Thank you. I'm a very grateful person, getting better all the time. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the stars. Again, helps buy the coffee, keeps the coffee rolling. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Salvador. Anybody else have a question for me before? I'll just open it up past my subscribers, because sometimes they have a closed page, so they can go to their closed page and get in contact with me on the closed page. So anybody else? Oh, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I was on Monday. It's always so interesting. I've gone under anesthesia so many times in the last year, since last April. And I scheduled the surgery on a supermoon for healing and energy and connection. But anesthesia is just I'm still recovering from the anesthesia. It takes about 3 to 4 days for the anesthesia to get out of your system. So I'm kind of getting on that downside of everything. But thank you for the prayers and holding space during my surgery. Again, the disc was so herniated that it actually calcified, according to what the surgeon told me. So I've been dealing with this for a while, and it's nice to finally get my legs back. For those of you that don't know, nerve pain or back damage to your spine, I felt like I've been walking around for the last probably 9-10 months with ankle weights weighing about 50 pounds on each leg. And it's like somebody's taken those ankle weights off with the removal of the herniated disc. But again, it had been in my nerve root. So it was over 3/4 of the way through my nerve root, and it was calcified. So it had been out, extended, herniated for that long. So April, I appreciate you, and appreciate you holding space. Anybody else that it was holding space during Monday's surgery. But I'm better. I'm back. I'm looking forward to some events coming up. Again, if you want to learn more about what I'm doing, podcasts, articles, events coming up, Conscious Wellness Expos next weekend, you can go to here, marclainhart.com. You can internet search Intuitive Prospector. I will be rolling out. I'm going to be working on this week for Experience Your Therapy, which is going to be on Monday nights, I believe. That's going to be an event for the subscribers, and also through the social media platforms to connect to what I talk about: mediumship, connecting to your loved ones, your family, your fur babies, your friends, and how to do that in a logical, scientific approach. And so I'll be rolling that out here. I'm going to be working on that this week, and my next newsletter for October, because I'm a little bit behind from all these surgeries. So appreciate all of you. I don't see anybody else coming in. Hi, Christine. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks, April. Appreciate it. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? What's the old adage? I just posted about it. Whatever you fight, you strengthen. Whatever you fight, you strengthen, and what you resist persists. And I'm a big believer that the lesson repeats until it completes. So if you are repeating your lessons, maybe stop resisting that, because again, what you resist will persist, and what you fight, you strengthen. And move into, I'll finish up with what Alan Watts said. Quote, "The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves." End quote. And that's from the great Alan Watts. So I hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Thanks for tuning in to Metaphysical Meetup with Marc. I will be back next Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So check your local time zone wherever you're at in the world. And then podcast, we will be on the 22nd. So no podcast this next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. And you can always go get encore shows of the podcast. There's 10 seasons of Inspired Living streaming with all sorts of amazing, interesting, intriguing, inspiring guests, is how I would put it. So you can always go catch those episodes. And hopefully I'll see some of you next weekend at the Conscious Wellness Expo. Come sit with my chat on Sunday, which is going to be the spirit, or the language of spirit. And then I'll be actually doing an actual demonstration of mediumship at the event. So until, keep fighting, Marc. I am Nancy. Thank you. Like I said, this is hopefully the last surgery. I'm doing much, much better. So 70 pounds lighter, 5 surgeries later, that is transformation, right? From caterpillar to butterfly through the diamond, or what we call the the cocooning effect. So I appreciate that comment, Nancy. Appreciate you. So, all right, y'all. Until our next soul adventure together. Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. And I know there's a lot going on in the world, but don't get caught up in that. Go to what Alan Watts was reminding us to do. Just be a human being, celebrate life, be present, and just enjoy the moments that you have, because tomorrow is not ever guaranteed to any of us. But I always like to say, be kind, caring, compassionate, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. And I hope you discover the diamond within. And I also hope that you discover the many hidden gems that are all around us in this beautiful planet. And we'll see you next time here on Metaphysical Meetup with Marc live. Namaste. Namago. Take care, everybody.
In silence.
When we're all in a better place, when we're all in a better place, if the wind blows free from the treetops to the ocean, why can't we be in a better place?
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.